What does it actually mean to live in the present? You've heard those words 100 times, printed on mugs, written in planners, sprinkled through every wellness article ever published. But here's the question almost nobody asks. Concretely, what is it asking you to do? Most people can't answer that. If you can't either, don't feel bad. The phrase has been repeated for thousands of years and explained almost never. What comes clear eventually is this: presence isn't a mood, and it isn't about emptying your head. It's a technique, and techniques can be trained. There is a very old Zen story. A student asks a master, "What is the secret of your practice?" The master says, "When I eat, I eat. When I sleep, I sleep." The student laughs. Anyone can do that. The master shakes his head. No, you cannot. When you eat, you think about work. When you work, you think about vacation. When you lie in bed, you review today and rehearse tomorrow. There is not one thing you do while only doing it. It stings a little because it is a photograph of our days. Lunch comes with a video. Walking comes with a phone. Playing with the kids comes with replying to messages. Even rest has to be productive. A podcast running in the background. The body is always in one place. The mind is always in three others. The Diamond Sutra diagnosed the absurdity at its root. The past mind cannot be grasped. The present mind cannot be grasped. The future mind cannot be grasped. You can't hold the past. It's been taken off the shelves. You can't hold the future. It hasn't premiered. Strictly speaking, you can't even hold now. By the time you say the word, it's gone. But this isn't nihilism. It points at a plain fact. The only place you can ever stand is this moment. Past and future are just pictures playing in the mind. Now. Your life is not showing anywhere else. It is released exclusively in the format called the present. So why can't we stay here? Harvard ran a famous study. Thousands of participants were pinged at random moments and asked 3 questions. What are you doing? What are you thinking about? How happy are you right now? Hundreds of thousands of data points later, 2 findings. First, for nearly half of our waking hours, the mind is not on what we're doing. Half, which means we are absent for roughly half of our own lives. The second finding matters more. In the moments of mind wandering, happiness was measurably lower, and this held even when people were daydreaming about pleasant things. The study's title is its conclusion. A wandering mind is an unhappy mind. Note the direction of causality. We don't wander because we're unhappy. The wandering itself makes us unhappy. Why? Because when the mind is absent, you can't taste the food, can't hear the room, can't catch the emotion on the face in front of you. Life turns into background noise. The days pass, and yet nothing seems to happen. December's year in review is a blur. It's not that your life is poor, it's that you weren't in attendance. A life with a low attendance rate feels blank, no matter how eventful it was. The good news is that coming back is not as hard as it sounds, because your anchors travel with you everywhere. The first anchor is breath. You can't drag the mind back by force, but you can anchor it. Whenever you notice you've drifted, mid-meeting, mid-anxiety, mid-scroll, take a deep breath and feel the cool air in, the warm air out. Or feel the weight of your feet on the floor. Or find the farthest sound in the room and listen to it. 10 seconds and you're back on site. You can do this 50 times a day. Each one is a small homecoming. The second anchor hides inside something you already do every day without ever really being there. Washing dishes, showering, brewing coffee, the walk to the station. Pick one and declare it a no pairing zone. Dishes means only dishes. The water's temperature, the plate's slickness, the sound of the foam. 2 discoveries wait for you there. First, this task you've done 1,000 times contains detail you have never once noticed. Second, during those few minutes of single tasking, the mind goes impossibly quiet. Zen states its highest teaching in the plainest words ever recorded. Drink tea, eat rice. Tea is tea. Rice is rice. The entire secret is in there. The third anchor is for holding on to good moments that would otherwise slip past you. Psychology calls it savoring. When a good moment arrives, one perfect bite, a breeze at exactly the right temperature, a child saying something accidentally hilarious, don't let it slide by in 3 seconds. Pause. Say inwardly, I want to remember this. Press the shutter of your attention. Research shows that people who savor rank dramatically higher in well-being on identical lives. The texture of a life was never determined by the size of its events. It's determined by the depth of your attendance. Of course, no honest conversation about presence can skip its biggest competitor, the machine in your pocket. To be fair, the phone isn't the enemy. It's just a salesman who is too good. Some of the smartest engineers alive, armed with the best algorithms ever built, work full-time on relocating your attention away from the life in front of you. Facing that with willpower alone is an amateur challenging a professional team, and losing doesn't mean you're weak. So don't rely on willpower, rely on environment design. At meals, the phone doesn't come to the table, not face down beside the plate, in another room. Half an hour before bed, it charges in the living room, while a book takes its place on your nightstand. When someone is talking to you, the screen faces down. These rules sound petty. They actually declare something enormous. My attention belongs to me, and nothing gets it by default. Where your attention goes is what your life becomes. And in the age of the algorithm, that sentence is truer than it has ever been. One last clarification, in case this gets misread. Living in the present does not mean ignoring the future and the past for the sake of instant pleasure. Of course we plan ahead and treasure memories. Those are human superpowers, and nobody's asking you to give them up. The key is only this. When you plan, plan fully. When you reminisce, reminisce fully. And when you eat, come back and eat. Where your mind is, that's where your life is, and you can always come back. If today's episode landed, share this in the comments. In the last 24 hours, when were you fully there? Body and mind in the same room. Describe it. The more specific, the better. Send it to someone who needs it. Subscribe. Every day, a little closer to understanding life. See you tomorrow.